All right, we're back. Tim Blankenship with Divorce661's Daily Perspective, episode 11. I hope you're all doing well today. The Daily Perspective is a daily podcast where I talk about a day in the life of an LDA, that's a legal document assistant or preparer, also known as a divorce paralegal. If I worked for an attorney, that's what I'd be called. Anyways, today's, I start these recordings, just so you know, with no plan, a couple of notes that I've jotted down what I did during the day, but I don't script it, as you could probably tell. I literally just hit record and start talking with whatever I'm thinking. So today's been fairly busy. A lot of weird stuff going on in the world, by the way. A little slower this week. I think people had their attention on what's going on around the world with all the chaos right now, which is awfully terrible, of course. Um, anyways, going to talk about some calls we had today, some consultation issues, talk about how to file stipulations. We're going to talk about why, if you think you are different or weird with what you're doing in your divorce, you're not. I'll give you some examples of that. And we're going to talk about legal separation cases as well. So here's my note. So a lot of times during a consultation, I'll have someone call and say, I know it's weird that we're amicable, or, we get along, we're like really good friends, but we just, we still want the divorce, or we have some weird agreements because we still want to live together, or, we don't want to have alimony and we don't want to have child support and we just want to each keep our own things. I know that's weird. It's not weird, not with what I do. It might be weird if you are going through a contested divorce and you hate each other and you're fighting for every inch and every second with your child and every penny you could get. That's a whole different story. But with what I do, and because I only handle 100% amicable cooperative clients, that brings a whole different realm of people with a whole different type of set of agreements that they can come up with. Again, we have people that, we have people that continue to live together post-divorce. I just drafted a settlement agreement today where they were doing the divorce. We still have to do the custody and all that, even though they're going to live together, but they're going to continue to live together for at least 5 years. And I think it's for financial reasons. It's cheaper to stay together, in many senses, but it's especially for cost of living and people, if they want to buy out the other party and whatnot, they're trying to get the interest rates to come down. So what I want to get across with this is whatever you guys come up with, it's not weird. It's not strange. I'm sure we've done it before. I will look at what you guys want to do and just make sure it's something the court will accept, which in most cases it will be. Just needs to be enforceable. So I'll look at the language. I can even help you with that language. But yeah, I just had a consultation talking about that, where she's like, I know it's kind of odd that, we don't want alimony. We don't want child support. We don't even want custody. We just want to do our own thing. With that, we still have to have all of the elements of your settlement agreement in play. So like, even with these folks that are still living together, we still have to have a child custody order. We still have to have a child support order, and we still have to have a spouse support order and a property division order. So what we do in those cases is we just make it very generic. We'll say joint legal and physical custody with a non-specific parenting plan, obviously, because you're still living together. We will do no child support, reserved jurisdiction. We'll do no spouse support, because it doesn't make sense if they're still living together and still paying the bills as if they're a married couple. And property division, we will also still list that, and that's usually where there will still be some terms. And in a lot of cases, and not all, but folks want to keep their own assets and debts. That's totally fine. The rules say 50-50 division. Yes, if you're going to court and you were arguing for that and weren't in agreement, yeah, that's probably what the court would order. But on your own, even if it's not fair, even if it's not equal, the court's not going to interfere with that. And that's a big concern for clients, as they say, what's the court going to say if it's not equal division? And the answer is they're not. And they're not going to do that because they don't know if it's equal, because we never give them the values of what these assets are worth. We have a bullet point list, essentially, of, Schwab account 1234, Fidelity account 1234, Chase checking account number 1234, XYC vehicle, no values. The only time we list values is if there's a need to. Like in this one case, everything else was pointed it out for a judgment I did, a settlement agreement I did the other day. But in one account, they were going to get like $180,000 from this 401k. So what we do in those cases, we'll say, okay, Schwab account number 1234, $180,000 to petitioner, respondent, whoever that's going to, because that needs to be detailed in there. This was a brokerage account, so that's not something that would need a QRDO for. It's going to be treated like a checking account, and they're free to move that money around without the need for a QRDO. So long story short, anything you want to include in your settlement agreement is going to be fine. After 11 years, I've pretty much seen it all. So don't be worried about that. The court's not going to interfere with what you guys are trying to do. Okay, so I was talking about QRDO, so I might as well spin into that. Today, I helped someone draft a stipulation to modify their judgment of their divorce. Their case was finalized in 2015, and they wanted to modify spousal support. And that's easily done by agreement through what's called a stipulation. And the stipulation is simply a document, an agreement that says we want to, and it doesn't just have to be spousal support. You can change any terms you like by agreement. And we just draft that's usually a 3-page document that details out what the changes are. They sign it, we file it. A $20 fee normally to make that update. So in this case, the person who had contacted me happened to be the respondent in the case. And when I looked up their case summary online, I noticed that he did not file a response. So when the response is not filed and it's a default with written agreement, which is totally fine, we do that all the time. If we were to file this stipulation in the respondent's name who had not filed the response and therefore did not pay the filing fee for the response, they would have charged $435 to file the stipulation because he's never paid what they call their first appearance fee. So what I said is, you guys are amicable. I'm going to draft the stipulation in your wife's name so she can, they both still sign it, but they count who is at the top of the form, like who is filing the stipulation. So he did it in the wife's name, and then it's only going to be a $20 fee instead of $435 fee. So just a little trick there to save you some money if you find yourself needing to do that. Again, this week, I was asked 3 times, and I got to call someone back as soon as I'm done. I just saw a call come in, and I read my messages. They get transcribed. And the question was, do we do legal separation or do we just do divorce? So for the 5th time, people, legal separation is the exact same process as divorce. I know it's Divorce 661. I can't have legal separation 661, okay? So yes, it's the same process, different checkbox. That's it. Yes, it's technically a faster process because you don't have to wait the 6 months, but because the courts are so backlogged, you're going to be waiting about 6 months anyways before it's approved. So if that's your rationale, and sometimes it is for folks, we want to get done sooner, it's not going to be that much faster, maybe by a month. So if you really want to do the divorce and you're going to do legal separation because you think it's faster, don't. You'll waste your time, you'll waste your money, because once the legal separation case is approved, you now have to file a brand new case, new case number, new court fees, the whole process to go through divorce. So yes, I do legal separation cases. Now here's a topic that I want to bring up. I wasn't sure if I was going to. It's just something that's kind of bothering me. And I'll put it at the end. You might not even reach this point of the conversation, but when it comes to the consultations, I offer free 15-minute consultations. You can sign up on my website, and I do have options in there. Are you in agreement? You're mostly in agreement. Are you not in agreement? Are you just looking for free advice? And people will fill those out. Plus, it gives me a little bit. I also ask, what is it that you need help with, so I get an idea of what they need, and then based on what they write, I can kind of get an idea of how amicable or complicated the case might be, depending on their question. Lately, just this week, and this is probably a small percentage, so don't take this to heart. 1% of you who have no intention of hiring me and pretend that you are, considering it, keep me on the phone for 30 minutes of a 15-minute consultation, and then completely ghost me. And so I'm going to get a little bit more, I hate, what they say, don't penalize the masses for the few, or whatever that line is. But I've had a couple of people this week who, asked question after question after question, and then basically said, thanks, appreciate the information. Didn't lead anywhere. It's a big waste of time. And now they're probably going to take all the information I gave them and go do it themselves, or whatever the case might be. That's fine. I just don't like being tricked into it. Not everyone can hire me. If I do walk through, I do give very detailed consultations. I have other people that tell me, first of all, Tim, why do you do all these videos and tell everyone how to do it? They also say, what do you, when people ask, how do you do this or that? Do you tell them? I said, absolutely. I'm not going to. I think the biggest issue in the legal profession, especially amongst attorneys and even people doing what I do, is to keep information so close to the vest. They're so afraid that if the information were to get out, that you're not going to hire them. And I'm sure that happens. I've had people email me, say, hey, Tim, I never talked to you, but I did watch all your videos. I was able to complete my entire divorce. It took a lot longer than I thought, but I was able to do it. And that's great. Those people were never going to hire me anyways. And people do, I know when people hire me, when they try to do it on their own, and I can tell that they were watching my videos because I have a very specific flow of how I do things, what I write on the petition for like separate and community property and stuff like that. So when I see that, I just laugh. I'm like, okay, here's people on one hand saying, I don't want to give it all away for free because they're going to try and do it themselves. And they will, like I said. But here's people who did try and do it and follow it. It's still complex, even though I'm giving you the step-by-step details. Every case has some nuance that might tweak the paperwork just a little bit. I can only tell you how to do it in the most generic fashion. You may have some specific thing or you want to do regarding property or the kids, and that might cause your judgment to reject. So where do you think those people are going to go? And they come, they're going to go back to the resource that they were following and looking at my silly face and trying to watch the videos of how I do the forms. And they're going to call me, and that's what happens. And they do. So I will see the paperwork that has like verbatim, like what I would normally write for descriptions of assets and debts and so forth. So I appreciate you. I just wanted to vent a little bit for those of you that intentionally call me to take advantage. I'm on to you. And if you're watching these videos, I've even had people call me and say, hey, Tim, oh, I can't, you have too many videos because I have now 2,500 videos. You have too many videos. I need the video on how to do this. It's like, come on, guys, at least have enough, take the time to research on my YouTube channel to find the video. Don't call me for a consultation for the sole purpose of me giving you a video. That's going a little bit too far. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, the Daily Perspective number 11, episode 11 on this Friday the 13th. You guys stay safe.